I, 26F, finally landed my dream position after years of working toward it. My parents have never approved of my career choice and have been pressuring me to quit for months. Last week, I was called into an emergency meeting with my boss, and what I discovered made my blood run cold. Now my parents are playing the victim. My extended family is calling me ungrateful, and I'm questioning everything. Did I overreact? I walked into my boss's office expecting a promotion discussion and instead found a printed email from my mother explaining why I was mentally unstable and unfit for my position. I'm 26 years old, and 3 months ago, I achieved something I'd been working toward since I was 18. I became a wildlife conservation photographer for National Geographic. Let me be clear about what that means. It means I spent 8 years building a portfolio. It means I lived in a tent in the Amazon for 6 months documenting endangered species. It means I learned 4 languages, so I could work with local communities. It means I survived malaria, a spider bite that put me in the hospital for a week, and a close encounter with a jaguar that still gives me nightmares. It means I sacrificed stability, comfort, and safety to do work that matters to me more than anything else in the world. It also means my parents think I'm throwing my life away. I grew up in a family where success had one definition: stable, prestigious, high-paying, and local. My father is a cardiologist. My mother is a corporate lawyer. My older brother, David, is a surgeon. My younger sister, Emily, is in medical school. And then there's me, the disappointment, the one who had so much potential and wasted it on a hobby. I knew from age 10 that I wanted to work with animals and nature. I'd spend hours in our backyard photographing birds, insects, anything that moved. I filled notebooks with sketches of animals and research about endangered species. When other kids were playing video games, I was watching nature documentaries and reading National Geographic cover to cover. My parents tolerated it as a phase. When I told them at 16 that I wanted to study wildlife photography and conservation, my father laughed. Actually laughed. That's not a career, sweetheart. That's a hobby. You'll study biology or environmental science, get a real degree, and then you can take photos on the weekends. I'm serious, I said. This is what I want to do with my life. Then you're not serious about your future, Mom replied. Do you have any idea how unstable that field is? How little it pays? How dangerous it is? I don't care about the money. Well, you should. You can't live on passion. You need security. Stability. A career that will support you. We fought about it for 2 years. They refused to pay for art school or any program related to photography. We'll pay for a real degree or nothing at all, Dad said. So, I paid for it myself. I worked 3 jobs through college: waitressing, retail, freelance photo editing. I went to a state school for biology like they wanted, but I minored in photography and spent every spare moment building my portfolio. I graduated with honors and $60,000 in student loans. Then I told them I was moving to Costa Rica for an internship with a conservation organization. That's when things got really bad. You're making a huge mistake, Mom said when I told them about Costa Rica. You have a degree in biology. You could go to medical school. You could do research at a real institution. Instead, you're running off to the jungle to take pictures? It's not just taking pictures. It's documentation. It's research. It's helping protect endangered species. It's dangerous and stupid, Dad interrupted. You could get killed. You could get a disease. You could waste years of your life for what? A few photos that no one will ever see. National Geographic sees them, I said quietly. I'm building toward that. This internship is how I get there. National Geographic, Mom scoffed. Do you know how many people want to work for National Geographic? Do you know the odds? You're setting yourself up for failure and disappointment. Maybe. But it's my failure and my disappointment to have. We didn't raise you to be reckless. You raised me to follow my passion. That's what I'm doing. We raised you to be smart, Dad said. And this isn't smart. This is you being stubborn and naive. I went to Costa Rica anyway. For the next 5 years, I lived the life I dreamed about. I documented sea turtle conservation in Costa Rica. I photographed orangutans in Borneo. I spent 8 months in Madagascar capturing images of lemurs for a biodiversity study. I freelanced for wildlife magazines, built a name for myself, won awards. My parents called it gallivanting around the world with a camera. Every time I came home for holidays, the conversation was the same. When are you going to get a real job? How are you ever going to afford a house? What about health insurance? Retirement? A family? You're 24 years old, and you're still living like a backpacker. This is embarrassing. I try to share my achievements with them. I showed them the spread I'd done for Wildlife Conservation magazine, the award I'd won from the International Wildlife Photography Association, the fact that National Geographic had started occasionally buying my photos. That's nice, dear, Mom would say, barely glancing at my laptop. But when are you going to think about your future? This is my future. This is a fantasy. And eventually, you're going to have to wake up. 3 months ago, I got the call. National Geographic wanted to hire me as a staff photographer. Full-time. Benefits. A salary that, while not doctor money, was more than enough to live on and pay off my loans. And most importantly, creative freedom to pitch and pursue the projects I cared about most. I cried for an hour after I got the offer. Then I called my parents. That's wonderful, honey, Mom said, but her tone was flat. Disappointed. Wonderful? Mom, this is National Geographic. This is what I've been working toward for 8 years. I understand that you're excited. I'm not just excited. This is everything. This is the dream. But have you thought about what this means long-term? Dad jumped in. You'll still be traveling constantly. Still putting yourself in dangerous situations. Still not building any real stability. I'll have health insurance. A 401k. Paid time off. You'll be gone for months at a time, Mom said. How are you ever going to meet someone? Get married? Have a family? Maybe I don't want those things right now. Everyone wants those things eventually. And by the time you realize that, it'll be too late. You'll be 40 years old, alone, with nothing but pictures to show for your life. The joy drained out of me like someone had pulled a plug. I thought you'd be happy for me, I said quietly. We want you to be happy, Dad said. But we also want you to be realistic. This isn't a sustainable career. Please just think about what we're saying. It's not too late to change course. You could still apply for graduate programs. You could still build a real career. I hung up without saying goodbye. I took the job. I moved to DC, where National Geographic is headquartered. I got an apartment, started my first official assignment documenting wolf reintroduction in Yellowstone. My parents called weekly. The conversations followed a script. How's work? Dangerous/unstable/not a real career. Are you eating well? Subtext. You're probably malnourished and irresponsible. Have you met anyone? Subtext. You're wasting your fertile years. Have you thought more about what we discussed? Subtext. It's not too late to admit we were right. I started letting their calls go to voicemail. Then they showed up at my apartment. Unannounced. We were in the area, Mom said, which was a lie since they lived 8 hours away. We wanted to see how you're settling in. They walked through my apartment like investigators at a crime scene, pointing out everything wrong. The furniture was cheap. The neighborhood was questionable. The fact that I had camera equipment worth thousands of dollars but was eating ramen for dinner was concerning. This isn't a life, Mom said, sitting on my secondhand couch with the expression of someone smelling spoiled milk. This is barely surviving. I'm fine. You're not fine. You're living in a shoebox, eating garbage, working yourself to death for a company that will replace you the second you're injured or sick. That's not how it works. We know how the world works, Dad interrupted. And we're telling you, as your parents who love you, that you need to quit this job before it destroys you. I'm not quitting. Then we can't support this anymore, Mom said. We've tried being understanding. We've tried being patient. But we can't watch you ruin your life. If you won't listen to reason, then we need to take action. What does that mean? They exchanged a look. It means we're going to do what's best for you, whether you like it or not. They left. I didn't understand what they meant. I would. Soon enough. 2 weeks later, I got an urgent text from my editor, James. Need to see you in my office ASAP. Don't panic, but this is serious. My stomach dropped. Had I missed a deadline? Made a mistake on an assignment? Lost critical footage? I rushed to the office. James was at his desk with our senior editor, Patricia. Both looked uncomfortable. Sit down, James said. I sat. We received some concerning correspondence yesterday, Patricia began. From someone claiming to be your mother. My blood went cold. What kind of correspondence? James turned his laptop toward me. On the screen was an email. From my mother's law firm address. Sent to National Geographic's General Inquiries, CC'd to 3 senior editors, including my boss. I read it. Then read it again. Then read it a third time because my brain couldn't process what I was seeing. Subject: urgent concerns regarding employee, my full name. To whom it may concern. I am writing as both a concerned parent and as an attorney to raise serious concerns about my daughter, my name, who was recently hired as a wildlife photographer for your organization. My daughter has a history of mental health issues, including depression, anxiety, and impulsive decision-making. She has consistently made reckless choices despite medical advice and family intervention. Her decision to pursue wildlife photography is part of a larger pattern of unstable behavior that has worried our family for years. We believe she is currently experiencing a manic episode and is not fit to work in high-stress, dangerous environments. She has been resistant to treatment and intervention. We fear that her current position will put both her and your organization at risk. Asterisk, we have documented evidence of her instability, including history of risky behavior, traveling to dangerous locations without proper preparation, financial irresponsibility, significant student loan debt, poor living conditions, isolation from family, and support systems' refusal to seek mental health treatment despite family recommendations. Asterisk. We are requesting that National Geographic either place her on medical leave pending psychiatric evaluation or terminate her employment for her own safety. We are willing to provide additional documentation if needed. As her parents, we cannot stand by while she puts herself in danger. We hope you will take these concerns seriously and act in her best interest. We are also prepared to discuss this matter with your organization's legal team if necessary, as we may need to pursue guardianship or conservatorship to ensure her safety. Respectfully, Dr. Father's name and mother's name, Yescu. I couldn't breathe. My hands were shaking so badly, I had to grip the edge of the desk. This is not true, I whispered. None of this is true. We assumed as much, James said carefully. But we had to address it. These are serious allegations. I don't have mental health issues. I've never been diagnosed with anything. I've never been told by any medical professional that I'm unfit for this work. My parents they don't approve of my career. They want me to quit. This is them trying to force me out. Have you ever discussed mental health concerns with them? Patricia asked gently.
No.
I've been to therapy a few times in college, like most people, but nothing serious. No medications. No diagnoses. Nothing that would make me unfit for this job. They're lying. They're making this up because they want me to quit and work a real job like them. James and Patricia exchanged looks. We believe you, James said. But you understand we have to take allegations like this seriously, especially the part about them pursuing conservatorship. They can't do that, I said. I'm 26 years old. I'm competent. I'm successfully employed. Can you prove it? Patricia asked. Do you have medical records? Anything that would refute their claims. I can get them. But this is insane. They're trying to sabotage my career because they don't approve of my choices. Unfortunately, it's working, James said quietly. The email was sent to senior leadership. There are now questions about your fitness for the role, about liability, about what happens if you're injured on assignment and your parents pursue legal action claiming we knew you were unstable and employed you anyway. My world tilted. Are you firing me? No, Patricia said firmly. But we're asking you to go on temporary leave, paid leave, while you gather documentation to refute these claims. And we're asking you to consider whether you need to pursue legal action against your parents for defamation. I left the office in a daze. My parents had contacted my employer, had lied about my mental health, had threatened conservatorship, the legal mechanism used to control people deemed unable to manage their own lives. Had sabotaged my dream job because they thought they knew what was best for me. I called them from my car. Dad answered. Hello, sweetheart. What did you do? Silence. What are you talking about? The email. To National Geographic. Claiming I'm mentally unstable. Threatening conservatorship. More silence. Then, we did what we had to do. You what? You wouldn't listen to reason. Mom's voice in the background on speakerphone. You're making dangerous, reckless choices. Someone had to intervene. I'm 26 years old. I'm not making reckless choices. I'm living my life. You're living a fantasy that's going to get you killed, Dad said. We tried talking to you. We tried reasoning with you. You wouldn't listen. So, yes, we contacted your employer. We explained our concerns. We're your parents. We have a right to protect you. You lied about me. You told them I have mental health issues. You threatened conservatorship. We didn't lie, Mom said calmly. We shared our legitimate concerns about your mental state. The fact that you're overreacting right now only proves we were right to be worried. I felt like I was drowning. You're trying to ruin my career. We're trying to save your life, Dad said. And if you can't see that, then you're even more unstable than we thought. Maybe conservatorship is the right call after all. I hung up, threw my phone across the car, screamed until my throat was raw. I called a lawyer that afternoon, explained everything, showed her the email. This is defamation, she said immediately. False statements made to your employer that damaged your professional reputation. You have grounds for a lawsuit. Will it work? Probably. The email is clearly false. You can get medical records proving you don't have the conditions they claim. The fact that they threatened conservatorship, a legal mechanism they have no grounds for, shows malicious intent. What about the conservatorship threat? Can they actually do that? Not unless they can prove you're truly incapable of managing your affairs. Which you're clearly not. But the threat alone is a form of control and harassment. Combined with the defamatory email, you have a strong case. How long will this take? Months. Maybe a year. But in the meantime, I can send them a cease and desist letter. Make it clear that if they contact your employer again, or anyone else in your professional network, you'll pursue legal action. I hired her on the spot. The cease and desist letter was sent the next day. My lawyer also contacted National Geographic's legal team with my medical records, clean bill of health from my doctor, statement from my therapist, who I'd seen twice in the past year for general stress management, confirming I had no diagnoses that would impair my work capacity. James called me 2 days later. You're cleared. Come back to work. And for what it's worth, I'm sorry you're dealing with this. No one should have to defend their mental health to their employer because their parents are controlling. I went back to work, but the damage was done. Now my colleagues knew my parents had tried to sabotage me. Now there was a file in HR about my mental health concerns. Now, every time I went on assignment, I wondered if someone would question my fitness. And my parents? They acted like they'd done nothing wrong. My father called a week later. I think we need to have a family meeting. Clear the air. There's nothing to clear. You try to get me fired. We expressed legitimate concerns. You lied. You told my employer I have mental health conditions I don't have. You threatened conservatorship. You tried to ruin my career. We were trying to protect you. From what? From living my life? From following my passion? From being happy? From making a mistake you'll regret for the rest of your life? Dad said, his voice rising. You're throwing away your potential. You could be in medical school right now. You could be building a real future. Instead, you're risking your life for pictures. They're not just pictures. Yes, they are, he shouted. They're just pictures. And your mother and I are not going to stand by and watch you destroy yourself. If that means we have to intervene, then so be it. Then you've lost a daughter. Silence. What? You heard me. If you can't respect my choices, my career, my life, if you're going to sabotage me and lie about me and try to control me, then you've lost me. I'm done. You're being dramatic. I'm being serious. Don't call me.
Don't email me.
Don't show up at my apartment. Don't contact my employer. We're done. Sweetheart, you're upset. I'm not upset. I'm finished. You made your choice when you sent that email. Now I'm making mine. I hung up, blocked their numbers, blocked them on social media, sent an email to the rest of my family explaining what had happened and asking them not to pass along messages for my parents. The fallout was immediate. My brother David called. Mom and Dad are devastated. You can't just cut them off. They tried to get me fired. They were worried about you. They lied about my mental health to my employer. Would you be okay with someone doing that to you? Silence. They're your parents. They love you. Love doesn't look like sabotage, David. My sister Emily took their side completely. You're being selfish and dramatic. Mom and Dad have always had your best interests at heart. So they handled it badly, so what? You're willing to throw away your family over that. They threw me away first, I said. When they decided their opinion of my career was more important than my happiness. She called me ungrateful and hung up. My extended family weighed in. Some supported me. Most told me I was overreacting. They're your parents. You only get one set. You need to forgive them. But here's what none of them understood. My parents hadn't apologized. Hadn't admitted what they did was wrong. Hadn't shown even a hint of remorse. They thought they were right. They thought they were justified. They thought loving me gave them the right to control me. And I was supposed to just accept that? My parents tried everything to get me to respond. They sent letters to my apartment. I returned them unopened. They sent emails to my personal account. I filtered them to spam. They sent messages through family members. I asked those family members to stop or I'd cut them off too. My mother even tried calling my landlord claiming there was a family emergency and demanding my new phone number. My landlord told her to leave him alone or he'd file harassment charges. Then, 2 months after I went no contact, they showed up at National Geographic. Showed up. At my workplace. Demanding to see me.
Security called me.
There are 2 people in the lobby claiming to be your parents. They're insisting they need to speak with you about an emergency. It's not an emergency, I said, my hands shaking. They're not welcome here. Please ask them to leave, or I'll call the police. Security escorted them out. They stood in the parking lot for 3 hours, waiting by my car. I left out a side door and took an Uber home. That night, my lawyer sent another letter, cease contact or face a restraining order. They finally stopped. 6 months have passed. I'm thriving at National Geographic. I've completed 3 major assignments: wolves in Yellowstone, coral reef restoration in Australia, and my current project documenting mountain gorillas in Rwanda. My work has been published in the magazine. I've been interviewed for podcasts. I'm building the career I always dreamed of. And I haven't spoken to my parents in half a year. Some days it feels like relief. Some days it feels like grief. Most days it feels like both at once. My therapist says that's normal. You're not just mourning the relationship you had. You're mourning the relationship you wish you'd had. The parents who would have celebrated your success instead of sabotaging it. She's right. I didn't cut off my parents because I hate them. I cut them off because they couldn't love me as I am. They could only love the version of me that fit their expectations. And that version never existed. Last week, I won an award. The International Wildlife Photography Award for Best Conservation Story. It's one of the biggest honors in my field. My parents sent a card to my office.
I don't know how they got the address.
Inside, it said, "Congratulations. We're proud of you. We hope you'll reconsider cutting us out of your life. Love, Mom and Dad." I stared at that card for a long time.
Proud.
They were proud.
Now.
After I'd won an award they couldn't ignore. After I'd proven, once again, that my career was real and valid and successful. But where were they when I was living in a tent in the Amazon? When I was surviving on rice and beans to build my portfolio? When I was fighting malaria and spider bites and doubt? They weren't proud then. They were embarrassed, dismissive, ashamed. And when their embarrassment turned to sabotage, when they decided to destroy what I'd built, that's when I learned who they really were. I threw the card away. My friend asked me yesterday if I think I'll ever reconcile with them. I don't know, I told her honestly. Maybe if they genuinely apologized. If they acknowledged what they did was wrong. If they showed me they could respect my choices even when they don't agree with them. Do you think they will? I thought about the email, the lies, the threats, the showing up at my workplace, the complete lack of remorse. No, I said. I don't think they will. Because they still think they were right. They still think they know what's best for me better than I do. They still think love gives them the right to control. So it's really over? Yeah, I said, and felt the weight of it settle over me. I think it is. And here's the thing, I'm okay with that. Because I've learned something important. You can't force people to respect you. You can't make people see your value if they're determined to see you as a disappointment. You can't build a relationship with someone who thinks your boundaries are negotiable. All you can do is protect yourself. Build the life you want. Surround yourself with people who celebrate you instead of sabotage you. I'm sitting in Rwanda right now, in a tent at the edge of a rainforest, editing photos of a mother gorilla and her infant. Tomorrow I'll trek back into the forest to capture more footage. In a month, I'll move on to my next assignment. This is the life my parents think isn't real, isn't stable, isn't enough, but it's mine. Built with my choices, my work, my sacrifice. No one can take it from me now. Not even them. My phone buzzes. It's my editor. The mountain gorilla piece is incredible. National Geographic wants to feature it as a cover story. Congratulations. I stare at that message for a long time. Then I look around my tent, at the camera equipment, the field notes, the mud-stained boots, the mosquito netting, the life I've built in the margins of the world. And I smile. Not because my parents will see the cover and realize they were wrong. I'm done needing that validation. But because I proved something to myself, I was right. This life, this career, this path, it was always real. It was always worth fighting for. And I'm finally free to live it without anyone telling me I'm wrong for wanting it. Some people will never understand your dreams. Some people will try to destroy them because they can't control them. And some battles for your own life are worth losing your family over, because the family you build in their place, the family that celebrates instead of sabotages, will always be worth more than blood that poisons.